Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. This is your host Ben on the Lover of Tech channel, LOT Reviews, and today I'm bringing you back onto the gaming aspect of the channel with my PC performance review of Ryse Son of Rome. So Ryse Son of Rome, this is a game that was developed and made by Crytek, and we all know Crytek from the Crysis series and the amazing work that they do with their Cry engine. This game was originally released as a launch title on the Xbox One back in 2013 November as an original IP exclusive for the Xbox One, but then later on, for good reason, came to the PC, which I think definitely is the definitive place to play this game. Crysis were well known for great graphics in that game, and also Crytek prided themselves in pioneering great PC graphics, and this is such a game where it really shows off that. In terms of the playability of the game, it did feel a lot, quite repetitive from what a lot of reviews were saying, but again, I'm not necessarily going to look at the gameplay per se, but more the performance, the type of graphical effects that are on screen, how the game performs. And today we are going to be running this game at true 4K, leveraging the power of DSR, dynamic super resolution from Nvidia. So my system specifications consist of an Intel Core i7 4790K Devil's Canyon CPU, which has been overclocked to 4.5 GHz from 4 GHz. System memory is at 32 GB of DDR3 memory running at 2133 MHz, and also for the graphics is the GTX1080 Founders Edition. So the Founders Edition, I've overclocked the core frequency by an extra 200 MHz and also the memory with an extra 300 MHz. This is really going to help leverage the power of DSR at higher resolution with the memory bandwidth and also the graphical horsepower in terms of the stream processors and how they're running. So there will be a link in the description down below where all the description of all the parts that I'm using are also there, and we are going to be running this at true 4K resolution, leveraging the power of DSR at 4096 by 2304. And what we're going to do now is go into the graphical settings in the menu. So into the graphical options menu. So what this consists of is graphics and advanced graphics. So we're going to start with the graphics section first. First is the resolution. So true 4K again, leveraging the power of dynamic super resolution. We're upscaling it and running it and super sampling it down to the native resolution of my screen panel. So resolution running at is 4096 by 2304, higher than UHD, which is obviously at 3840 by 2160. So true 4K over here. Super sampling, which is off. Graphics quality is set to custom, so the texture resolution is very high. Native upscaling has been disabled just due to the fact that we've already enabled dynamic super resolution at a higher res that we're using. Full screen mode on. Vertical sync, which is VSync, has been disabled, and the locked frame rate has been disabled, so you get a fully unlocked frame rate experience. Advanced, which shows you your shadow quality, which is high, higher settings it goes. Object details also on high, shadow quality on high, particle quality on high, animation quality on high. And if we move over and we have motion blur, so again, I prefer motion blur enabled. I think Crytek really does a great job with their motion blur effects. Temporal anti-aliasing, now as much as I don't need this on, we're enabling it just to see how this game runs maximum with all the settings enabled, and anisotropic filtering at the maximum times 16. So these are the settings that are being used for Ryse Son of Rome for today's performance review, and we're going to go right into some gameplay footage. So as you can see, this is the beginning sequence of Ryse Son of Rome, and on the top left you're seeing MSI Afterburner running, and this is now showing you the frame rate, which is hovering around 45 frames a second. Below is the GTX 1080 graphics card, which is at maximum utilization at around 99%, 100%. The core frequency is hovering around 1950 megahertz to 2 gigahertz. The memory frequency is stable at 5300 megahertz. The VRAM memory usage on the graphics card itself is at 5.3 gigabytes, which is the same as 5300 megabytes. The CPU temperature is around 70 degrees. The Core i7 4790K utilization on the CPU is around 42%, 45%, and the DDR3 memory usage on the actual system RAM is at 7.8 gigabytes. So as you can see, the graphical detail that's on screen, you have depth of field blur happening in the background as the scene slows down, and the camera really comes close up to the executions. As you can see, the lighting effects are absolutely amazing. The kills are absolutely savage in this game. They get really visceral and close. You can see the detailed character models that are on display. And this is the indoor scene where you're seeing Marius, who's the general of the Roman army, running indoors, and another battle scene with the barbarians, and you can really see the object details of the scene that's around you, the true real-time reflections, as well as the lighting effects that are on display as well. It's absolutely phenomenal, and Crytek never disappoint when it comes to graphical detail. The motion blur effects that's on the screen as well, and just everything that you have on screen in terms of the interaction, such as bloom, high dynamic range lighting effects with fire, and also the object detail of the scenery around, and how even the light reflects and bounces off, you know, the metal objects that you can see, and the armor on Marius and the Roman Empire and the Roman army. So it's absolutely phenomenal to watch and just see the level of detail and attention that really goes into this game. And it's really good. It's a fun game to play. It hasn't got too much depth to it, but it's a lot of fun to really kick back and look at it. But you know, at true 4K, higher than the UHD format, it's not hitting the magic 60 frames a second and above that we would like to see. But honestly, this is still phenomenal to see that the GTX 1080 is able to really push such a demanding title to this level. And the final scene outdoors is what you're seeing right now, and this is the focus mode that you see him going into, like a berserker rage where everything is just growing. The color grading completely changes, becomes a lot warmer, and everything just moves. The camera angle changes, and the effects and the cinematics used with the camera in this game is absolutely phenomenal to really show off the graphical detail. And I would say that even though it's below 60 frames a second, the playable experience on this was really good. I would ideally want to see 60 frames a second, but with 4K on such a demanding title on the Crytek engine, this is still impressive. And you know, just think about the fact that anti-aliasing is also on, which is not needed. It's absolutely phenomenal. But this was just a quick review of the performance on the GTX 1080 and on my system with Son of Rome Ryse running. Phenomenal game graphically, and more of this will be coming onto the channel. Like, subscribe, share, comment if you want to see more content like this in the future. Again, this is your host Ben on the Lover of Tech channel, LOT Reviews, and I'm signing out.